having a quad pedal scrotum is not something with claws is not something that I want to do. So I quickly went out the window.
Hi, I'm John, and the most recent thing I googled was Norwegian hookers.
And I'm
Wow.
And I'm John, and I love all UK towns, despite what John and our partners may say.
And I'm not John. And once again, just to reiterate, we condone nothing that was said last week. We love all towns. I've been to many gigs in Birmingham. I live in Liverpool. It's a great city. I've never been to Newcastle, but I assume they're all lovely people as well. And this is Would John Rather. And oh dear, shit. I have just accidentally deleted half of my list of questions, and it is not possible for me to get them back.
Liar,
So,
stop trying to save face.
No, I genuinely have.
As if.
And this is with John Rather, and I now have a very small bank of questions to go through. I hope you all enjoyed our special episode last week. We'll possibly, I'm sure John will agree, need to maybe explain to our partners that we don't like to insult everybody, including ourselves, when they're on. But I think overall, they can come back next year.
I thought they did a great job. Sterling work.
How was it to...
My partner was on there, so I'll just keep quiet.
Well, no, but you were hosting it, so how was it to herd them like it is to herd John and I?
It's spooky how similar your partners answer questions to how you two do it. That's the weirdest thing.
I did listen to it earlier, and I noticed that Lauren jumped in and picked an answer straight away without thinking through what she was picking, which was quite interesting.
Kirsten did a lot of thinking, but not a lot of convincing.
So, yeah, that sums up us, apparently, John.
Oh, potentially.
So, yeah, anyway, hope you've enjoyed the break from the two of us, but we're back, bigger and better, and it was my turn to ask questions 2 weeks ago, and as my partner won, it's definitely my turn to ask questions this week. So I've got one in the banks while I try and remember what else was on my list I've accidentally deleted. This is why pen and paper is always better than technology, folks. You can't accidentally highlight everything, delete it, and then exit it with no way to come back. And
I would rather use electronic stuff because it saves weight.
That wasn't the question.
Oh, goddamn.
I was just seeing if I could paste it down, but apparently I just deleted it instead of copying it. So, anyway.
Stored to an earlier version of
Windows.
No,
this is not Windows. It was on my phone, and it was a notepad on my phone. So, yeah. So, first question anyway. We'll dive right in. Sorry, I nearly forgot to say that. Would you rather Netflix or chill?
Netflix. I've still got 3 episodes of Titans to watch.
I think that although Netflix is popular now, as with all sort of internet electronic fads, it will pass. But chill is timeless. Chill will be having a beer with your buds forevermore. And yeah, I'm all into the timeless classics.
Such as?
The timeless classics like Back to the Future and Terminator that are all technologically inclined and happen to be on Netflix as well. And as much as chilling is nice, you've got to guarantee the company you're with is going to be worthwhile. Because there's a few times I've come home from work and I've been a grumpy, miserable arse and I don't really want to talk to people. And for my wife, it's quite difficult sometimes because no one wants to have grumpy, miserable people in the house. So we'll have dinner. I'll try my best with small talk, and then we'll just watch Netflix, and then I'll forget all about my problems and just let it go and return to normality and be a nice, happy, cheerful human being again before we go to bed. So it's a coping mechanism sometimes, and if you're going to take that from me, then why?
I've recently come back from Finland, which
stop bragging about it.
At times was around sort of negative 15 degrees Celsius. That was pretty chilly, and it was a fantastic holiday. I did ice climbing and fat biking and snowshoeing and generally larking about in cold weather.
So
So
that's doing activities. That's not chilling.
it's
I mean, it was
chill.
pretty chilly.
It
Pretty
was pretty
chilly.
chilly. Yeah. So I
Not the
mean,
same. Not the same thing.
well, I'm expanding the definition.
Well, I had dinner the other day, and that was chilly.
I love chili as well. Chill. I'm gonna sit back, chill with my chili, and yeah, that's another string to my bow.
But
Thanks,
my
John.
chili was my chili was really hot, and it made me cry. But it was good. I'd do it again. And then
Netflix could make you cry.
Oh, I did want to get onto the fact that BoJack Horseman makes you feel things and sound like a complete wuss, but it's a cartoon of an anthropomorphic horse who's just such a flawed character that you're just willing for him to be a better person. He's voiced by Will Arnett, so you can't ask for much better voice acting behind it, and the writing is spot on. And you just want BoJack to be a better horse. And you think he's heading the right direction, and then he gets feeling for someone, and he gets scared, and then goes on a 3-day cocaine bender, and ends up in a mega yacht that he's bought accidentally with all his 90s TV show money. And you're like, oh, you've done it again, BoJack. But he's very endearing for a cartoon horse, and it's won loads of awards. It's a really good series, and that is a Netflix original.
I think chill is more reliable statistically. If you agree,
according to who?
Well, I'm just
Amish Weekly.
I'm just thinking, if sometimes out of your control, internet, Wi-Fi, something goes wrong. Maybe it's too many people trying to use the same channel on the Wi-Fi. Maybe it's some hobo just fell through the copper wire while the BT Open World guy had the cabinet open and cut everybody off for a week. It could, there's lots of things that could go wrong. But, having a few friends around, just chilling with some pizza, maybe watch the rugby. Don't need the internet. Chill is timeless.
Something.
Yeah, I
That's
think
not chilling.
watching the rugby comes under Netflix because I obviously took this question from the phrase that we use nowadays, Netflix and chill, which basically means, come over and let's bang. But either we're going to chill or we're going to watch something.
Okay, fine. Well, we won't watch anything. We'll just have dinner.
You know what you could watch? You could watch a documentary on how to make food.
Yeah, and that would make me hungry.
I was trying to think of it. What is it, like America's Top Chef or whatever, or Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares, where he just goes in and swears at everyone, and then makes carbonara.
I just think, I've got nothing against Netflix. I'm not going to try and put it down, but if you have the choice, chill is always going to be better because it just covers more options. You've got more variety. I've done everything in chill, from just sit around with some friends drinking beer through to exploring the Arctic wilderness. I mean,
that is not chilling.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
You are literally chilling.
I'll tell you what. I'm gonna get Netflix on my phone. I'm gonna go bungee jump while watching Netflix because apparently that's the same thing. I'm watching Netflix. I happen to be bungee jumping, which is way cooler than exploring the Arctic.
Yeah, then you drop your phone.
Yeah, I worry about when you're on the bounce and you drop your phone.
I'm gonna have a leash. It's gonna be attached to me.
That could be a new invention. Have you seen these things that the kids have got these days? You can definitely tell I'm about to hit 30. No, it won't. Yeah, dab on your yeets and fleek. No, these things that people stick to the back of their phones that pop out so they can rest it between fingers so they don't have to hold their phone anymore. Have you seen these?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But instead of that, you could just stick some Velcro backing to it and then wear a pair of gloves and then you've got it stuck to the back of your hand, stuck to your hand.
But then you've got to wear gloves all the time, which would be really good when you're bungee jumping or exploring the Arctic while watching Netflix.
Yeah. And then you would be Netflix and chilly.
Yeah. But can you chill without Netflix and brag about it? Probably not.
I think there's a lot wrong with the world, and one of those things is people walking around staring at their phone instead of enjoying what the world has to offer other than their phone screen.
I don't like people lazing around, drinking beer, doing nothing. I want people to be out there ingesting media and learning and becoming socially aware. The Blue Planet, that is on Netflix. And The Blue Planet breaks my heart because at the end of it, you see turtles swimming around covered in garbage, and it makes me sad and angry. I'd never been that informed if I just sat there reading a book by candlelight.
Kind of a bit of a segue. I don't think it's on Netflix anymore. But have either of you ever heard of the film called Branded?
No.
No,
It was
I know someone who is branded though.
No, yes,
Like
I am
a steer.
branded. Yes, you branded me with the spatula, and I now have. It was supposed to be a nice tight cross on my
You moved.
right bum cheek, but I moved because
moved.
you were burning me with hot steel.
Because you asked me to.
Yes, I did. But Branded was a film basically about this guy. I think he got struck by lightning, and he could suddenly see the brands, and it was like kids dragging their mums into, not McDonald's because it's copywritten, but into like the fast food restaurant, and you could see like these monsters hanging off of him. It wasn't a sci-fi film. It was a very good film, like talking about modern culture.
Very socially aware, yeah.
But it's, yeah, if you ever get a chance to see it, then watch it. It was very interesting, but I don't think it's on Netflix anymore. So because of that, Chill wins.
Yeah.
You can't ever get branded on Chill. It's not available on Chill. It was available on Netflix. I'm sure it'll make a circle back to Netflix at some point in time.
Well, let's think back to John's very first argument. He did sound a bit like a stoner, and he was just like, let's chill it out. It's like, it's not be really funny, man. We just like branded each other, so we knew that we weren't part of the man. We were part of, you know, us, and we were against the man. And then all of a sudden, I've got somebody branding. And to be fair, when you branded me, we were just chilling. We were just chilling around. You were cooking on a barbecue. We sat around a fire, just having a chill, having a drink. You were making some food. And then all of a sudden it was, hey, do you know what the best thing to do with a grease-covered spatula is? Brand me. And that came from Chill. And I thoroughly like my brand. It looks a bit like a bird. So, yeah, Chill wins.
Woo.
There are other reasons, but I'm not going to go into it because I think I've given enough.
I thought you were talking about Samaj Chill. And I was like, he wasn't there. Ralph was there.
Yeah. Ralph also has a brand.
His is an upside down cross because he didn't fidget.
Yeah.
He'd squirm like a little bitch.
All right. Well, you're burning me with Hot Greasy Steel, which is also the name of my solo album coming out August. Hot Greasy Steel.
It's like the Brooklyn 999 thing. Like that's the name of your sex tape.
Yeah, exactly. So
I'm so glad it's back. I'm so glad Netflix picked it up. Actually,
if you'd like to pre-order Greasy Hot Steel, please tweet at me at would-J-Rather.
And if you'd like to get in touch with me, you'll need 2 tin cans and a long string.
What do they do with the tin cans and the string, John?
Don't frankly care. I'm not going to answer.
Well,
amazing.
If you want to if you want to contact me at John Rather, no H's because I'm gonna hit John with one that begins with an H, and we're trying to avoid violence these days, so I'm not gonna throw a can at him anymore.
Good. Well, question 2, I guess. It's been 2 weeks since we've done this. I'm completely forgetting everything that's happening and not at all buying time because I've just deleted 2/3 of my questions. Would you rather eat a big bowl of spiders or a big bowl of spiders' webs?
Spiders, because you get more protein, and as much as it's going to be crunchy and bitty, it will go down. Spiders' webs, you get stuck to your face. No one wants that.
Only if you're really bad at eating.
You've met John, right?
What's that supposed to mean?
We go to an all-you-eat curry house. And instead of doing 2 trips, you do 1 plate so vastly high that it's dangerous and precarious of causing a chemical grade food warning as it spills on the floor and engulfs everyone in its fiery curry mess. And then you eat it all, and then you go back for another one the same size. And it's just ludicrous. You just go about 3-4 times, it's fine. But no, you pile the most food I've ever seen on one plate in one go, and you look so happy with yourself. You don't. It's not. You're limited
It's efficiency. It's efficiency. It's like when you come in from your car with the shopping. You're going to do 3 trips? No, I'm going to burn off my fingers by carrying everything at once.
Also, there's definitely something sort of mentally. I can always finish one plate. If you finish a plate and you're planning to go up for more, you might sort of psychologically start to feel full because you finished your plate. I don't know, something in that. Anyway, I'd rather wait. Do we think that eating spiders' webs is vegan or just vegetarian? I think probably just vegetarian.
It's just vegetarian. It's definitely not vegan.
Yeah, animal product. Well, yeah, I'd rather have spiders' webs because while I, can get by being a vegetarian, I can't get by being a vegan. That would just be awful.
Well, it doesn't even need to be vegetarian because depending on how picky you are, or I mean, I imagine if you had to, you'd have a spider's web farmer, but it depends how picky they are. Like where occasionally you get a bunch of bananas that's got a spider in it, you might actually get like some spider's webs that have got the odd fly or wasp in it, at which point, consider it raisins in your porridge, but it's a little bit of meat in there. I don't know whether eating insects is considered still vegetarian or not. I imagine not.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been a vegetarian, so I can't ask me. But I wouldn't have the same moral objection to eating a fly than I would to eating a mammal. I think there is some.
Spiders aren't mammals. Just like put that out there.
No, right, okay. Let's just nip this in the bud right here because John with a H and I have a very long history, which is probably the only time it's nearly cost us our friendship, where we had a disagreement about whether spiders are conscious beings or not. And that happened over a decade ago. And I don't want it to come back up. So let's just...
I want to hear about this. I want to hear about this. I want to hear these open wounds. Tell me more.
Right, okay. So when I lived in the flat that you two know about, for the listeners, I rented a flat with a close friend when we were 18. And
you adopted a deer called Keith.
Yes, we adopted a deer called Keith. And it was just a shit show of a flat. But we were the only ones of our age group that had their own place, so everyone was around all the time. But we were sat in the front room, and John with a H just let out a screech, and it was a screech is the best way to describe it. I went, "What's up?" And he just went, "Nothing," and smiled at us, and that was it. All of a sudden, about 10-15 minutes later, I was sat on the sofa, and I turned to the left, and on the arm of the sofa, because I was sat on the very left-hand side, there was, and I'm not scared of them, unlike the conversations last week, but there was a spider that was probably not much smaller than a tarantula. Turns out that's what he was screeching at because he'd seen it run behind the sofa and decided not to let us know. So anyway, we caught this spider and then we went around the house trying to find numerous other spiders to get them into a case to make them fight because...
Spider Fight Club.
What else do you do when you're 18 and drunk and can't really afford to do much else? And then in a
when
drunken
Netflix wasn't invented.
It was myself and John with a third party arguing about whether spiders were conscious beings or not. And the third party was very drunk, a lot drunker than the two of us.
Was he wise drunk?
All he did when one of us... It was like, the sign language people, where they go on stage or they go on TV. It was like that where I would say something and he'd go, "Well, John, don't you think that's a good point because of this and this and this and this?" And he'd summarise everything I just said in my 4-minute speech. And then John would say something and he'd go, "Oh, well, Matt, what do you think about that?" And he'd summarise it and condense it down. And that's all he was doing, was just condensing everything we just said. He added nothing to being there other than the fact that it's funny to remember. To the point that John and I both went to bed fairly irked because we never came to a conclusion. This was back in the day where the internet wasn't quite as reliable on phones and computers and laptops, and there wasn't as many websites to answer any question. So we even text 118 because they would answer any question, and they didn't reply with a valid answer. So we were both quite annoyed. So I think stepping away from, let's just assume they are animals, whether or not they're conscious doesn't matter, but if you eat a spider, you're not a vegetarian.
Well, obviously.
However, I was thinking about this
recently.
You're
eating an animal. If you're, of course, not a vegetarian.
But it doesn't have a soul, does it?
Who are you to judge?
Right, stop, because I've been through this before. Well, I'll change the conversation by this. So let's imagine there's a line right down the middle, and 3.5 days a week or 6 months a year you eat meat, 6 months you don't. That's right down the middle. You've then got people who eat meat and vegetarians. I guess pescatarians are right down the middle. So you've got a pescatarian right down the middle that only eat fish. To the left of that, you've got meat eaters. To the right of that, you've got vegetarians. Now, to the right of vegetarians, you've got vegans. That's 2 versus 1. And I was thinking, what's 1 up from being a meat eater? I mean, you could argue it's if you kill your own meat, but isn't that what a lot of vegetarians or vegans say as an argument? Like, if you killed your own meat, we'd allow it. So,
Matt, aren't you 1 up from a meat eater, like a general omnivore? Aren't you like almost a pure carnivore?
No.
If it wasn't alive, you're not interested.
No, because I eat chips. But I was thinking about this, and I think the opposite of being a vegan, because the opposite of being a vegetarian is a meat eater. We all know that. But I think the opposite of being a vegan is only eating pregnant animals.
Animals that have got other animals in them.
Yeah.
What about eating like apex predators, like only eating lions, only eating great white sharks, because they are the top of the food chain?
I think
if you chow down on them, then it's like big dick territory. It's like, look, you in your natural habitat are the apex predator, but I call you Sunday roast.
That's the same as being a pescatarian, I reckon.
What?
Well, because you're eating meat, but you're eating the meat that eats the other meat, so you can't be a vegetarian. No, but I think it's on the same level as being a pescatarian. Like, it's right down the middle. It's like the argument, like, if I kill someone who was going to kill someone, have I done something wrong? Well, you are still a murderer, but you murdered in the way of good, so you're kind of neutral.
Oh, you're still a murderer. And anyway, I'm going to eat a bowl of spiders because I think it would be less problematic than eating webs.
Was that what we were talking about?
And if you go to like Thailand, they'll do like spicy chili spider on a stick, and that would be amazing.
I don't like the idea of eating spiders. It's quite gross.
It's fine. Chow down on web and tell me how it tastes.
Like candy floss.
No, it doesn't.
Just add sugar, and it would look like candy floss.
And also you give yourself diabetes.
How's that any different to eating candy floss?
Yeah, if the question was, would you rather eat spiders or candy floss, it would be obvious which one would be the answer. So no one said I couldn't add sugar to the spider's webs, so cobwebs win.
But how do you eat them? Like, is it like spaghetti, or does it like tend to a massive mat? That much spider's web, I couldn't comprehend.
This is one of those questions that I'm going to overrule in the future, but I think we only need to overrule should we follow the instructions. So I'm going to rule in favour of eating spiders because I'd rather rule in
punching the desk. I can tell you're passionate about this.
Oh, I didn't realise. I was tapping the edge of my laptop. I was like a metronome in my thought process, so I didn't forget. I'll stop doing that if you can hear it. Because I don't like the idea of killing spiders because, well, there's 2 reasons. Number 1, spiders kill all the irritating insects that we don't want in our house, like flies and shit. But also, if you kill a spider, you're only killing the spider that got caught, so therefore the only spiders left to breed are the sneaky ones. So we're just, every time somebody who's scared of spiders kills a spider, they're just accentuating in the fact that we're going to have even worse spiders in the future. But eating spiders' webs doesn't really harm anyone. However, spiders' webs meant to have like 10 times stronger than steel chains or whatever. It's just smaller. So I don't know what it would be like to eat it. So I propose, similar to, I'm sure we've discussed it before on the podcast, the ant situation, where we ate ants. Next time we see a spider's web, we eat some spider's web, report back on the podcast, and I will possibly overturn this decision based on our findings.
I want video proof. I want video proof from the group chat. I don't want John just to go, yeah, I've eaten something that tastes like candy floss.
Oh yeah, no. We need to take video proof and then we'll upload it. So all 7 of our listeners, that's right. You've gone up 700%. can
Yay.
watch and see us doing it. So and learn. So we eat the spider's web, so you don't have to.
We're all about education.
Just a special one. Whoever wins this episode, can they get to do our first ever human being adult listener shout out?
Oh, I was going to do that after this.
Ah.
Well,
I suppose as it is your podcast.
That leads us quite nicely into just before question 3. I assume this is what John was talking about. We'd like to thank Chris Martin. He sent me a very nice message. He is a friend of mine, but I haven't spoken to him in a while, and he just sent me a lovely message just saying how much he enjoyed the podcast and to keep it up, and it was very nice to hear. And yes, that is the Chris Martin, so thank you for listening.
You know why he doesn't talk to anymore is me and Gwyneth Paltrow. We're a thing now. That's why she doesn't want to be on the podcast, because she's not going to make any money out of it. She's busy doing Iron Man 9 right now.
It's really good, and it shows just how far we've come with our humour, that we've finally got, a fan, and what we've done is taken a joke that he's obviously never heard before in his entire life and made it a public forum while we're trying to thank him for his kind words and his time. So
classic John.
We all know I'm the least favourite John. It's fine. I'm just living up to everyone else's expectations.
But to be fair, I did lead you into it because I did say it was the Chris Martin. But what I meant by that, it was the only Chris Martin to me that matters.
Oh.
Because I fucking hate Coldplay. So, question. Would you rather be homeless or a slumlord?
I thought you were going to say, would you rather be in Coldplay or dead? That'd have been a bun fight for the second option.
What?
Homeless or slumlord?
Yeah.
Like career homeless, or you take away my house now and I keep on your sofa for a week until I find myself a new house?
No, like homeless as in you don't have a home, you live on the streets.
Homeless forever homeless.
Well, not forever, like nobody's homeless forever. There's always some form of way. I'm not saying it's easy and it's not always possible, but there's definitely always options.
I'd rather be homeless because I like to think that I would use it as a challenge to overcome, and also spend some quality time working on my meditation.
Chilling.
Chilling.
Netflix.
Working on self-improvement. Whereas if I'm a slumlord, I'm raking it in, abusing other people's need for housing for my own financial benefit, and just generally becoming a worse person over time.
Aren't we all anyway? So why not do it when you're filthy rich?
Actually, I think that's incorrect, John, because I started off being quite a bad person, just awful, and I think I'm getting better with time.
And have you ever owned multiple properties?
No. Oh, no, I was disagreeing with the other John. He was saying, aren't we all trying to get...
I got that. I was trying to reiterate the point. You've improved as a person and you haven't owned multiple properties.
And I guess, by John's question before, this is, the homeless part is you are homeless. Like you've I would imagine there aren't many people living on the streets that have got friends and family they could go and stay with, because unless they're too full of pride, like by your definition, I've been homeless before. I've stayed with friends, but that was a pre-agreed agreement, as it were. And I am certain that if either of you two became homeless for any reason, I know for a fact that I would offer you my home for as long as you needed until you got yourselves back on your feet. It would take a lot, and I mean a lot, for you to get to the point where I was going, no, you can't stay here anymore. Shout out to the two people that are listening that did house me. So yeah, it's when you've exhausted all your options, because I don't imagine there's many people living on the streets that have got friends and family that have said, oh, come stay with us while you get yourself back on your feet for 6 months, a year, whatever you need. And they've said, no, I'd rather be homeless.
Are you going to ask me to look for like a more interesting option for being a slumlord rather than just having a lot more money and being comfortable in how I live? And
Well, I mean, it's entirely up to you. Depends how much you want to win.
I see zero benefits for being homeless. I see absolutely zero benefits of being homeless, and I see all the benefits in being a slumlord. Yes, it's morally not the greatest thing ever, but you know, got to get that money. Got to get that money.
Got to get that paper, boy.
That cheddar ain't going to earn itself. And anyway, I'm giving people somewhere to live. Yes, it might be extortionate and I might not fix your plumbing, but what is the difference to that and student accommodation? It's just a different demographic that I'm after. John, in your house in Reading, where we came to stay with you during Reading Festival, did your leaky tap ever get fixed? Because I'm pretty sure you told me it never, ever, ever got fixed.
I'm pretty sure it didn't, no.
There we go. So he owns maybe one or two houses. I'd own several houses, and I could offer you that same level of neglect. Or, if you really whinged, I could fix it for you.
Stop a sec, just because I'm curious. One day, there might be hundreds of thousands of people that listen to us. Possibly not, but possibly. John, would you like to share your old address, just in case we get reached out to by some students who say, no, there's still a leaky tap here?
So that was 12 Blenheim Road, Reading.
In Reading.
Carry on, John, sorry.
Let us know.
Please. I really hope one of the 7 listeners... I really hope Chris Martin lives in Reading.
We don't endorse people going to that address and harassing the students who live there to find out for us. We can find out in our own due time.
I 100% endorse it. Please go knock on it. This is our perfect opportunity for advertising, John. I heard on this unknown podcast that you've got a leaky tap. Can you confirm? What podcast was that? Oh, it was with John Rather. Oh, I'll have to give it a listen.
Sounds insightful and full of stalkers. It's only got 1 stalker out of 3.
Much like the houses that you're a slumlord on. Insightful and full of stalkers.
Them stalkers got to pay them bills. Got to get that cheddar.
If they tell us if there's a leaky tap, can they also let us know whether there's still a traffic cone underneath the stairs?
Pride of place.
I mean, it's not a traffic cone that we acquired ourselves. It was just there when we moved in, and it was there when we left.
Oh, fair enough.
So it's like the house's resident traffic cone.
That just goes to prove just how unexciting John was as a student. It was like, just to confirm, we didn't bring the traffic cone home. We acquired it, but we didn't know what to do with it, so we left it there. When I was at university, my friend brought home, so these are called beer trophies. You both know beer trophies. When you're drunk and you bring something home, amongst the bale of hay, the sofa, the umbrella, and the tin of paint that my friends brought home, the highlights... No, the highlight... Yeah, someone brought home a shopping trolley.
And
but the highlight
what happened to the shopping trolley?
No, you're thinking of someone different. But the highlight was when someone brought home a dog.
Oh, no. Like someone's pet dog or stray dog?
I was, and you know how ill I must have been at university to have not got out. I had the money, I just was too ill to go out, so I sent them all on their way. Couldn't sleep because I was that ill, and they slowly came home one by one, so I was helping people up to bed and helping put them to sleep. There was somebody naked on the toilet. Somebody came out of their room, and I went, "What are you doing, Luke?" And he went, "I'm being dubstep," and started going wom 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 into my face while I was trying to look after the naked person on the toilet. And then all of a sudden I got a phone call. "Matt, we need your help." "Why?" "Because so-and-so has done something." "Okay, I'll be right down." So I came down. He brought home a fucking dog. He doesn't know where he got it from because he doesn't remember. Just, he has a dog. So what was the solution to this problem? He gave it to some other students and went to bed.
That is a perfect student solution. Why deal with something now when I can worry about it later or not do it ever again?
You know who else has dogs? Homeless people.
True. So back onto what we were talking about.
I'm sure there are plenty of dogs in slums. Who else is going to keep the rats and the cats away? Dogs. And you know what? That's cool with me. I was really hoping I was going to have something to follow up on, and I just didn't.
Man.
Yeah, so if I ever decide to not be a horrible slumlord tycoon, I could just sell all my properties off, earn a load of money, and then disappear. I could pretend I was homeless.
The question is, you have to be a slumlord.
Right. You said that John wouldn't be homeless forever. You didn't say I didn't have to be a slumlord forever.
Okay, fair point.
I could sell the property off and then earn an honest living using my ill-gotten gains and convert it to good cash.
Good cash.
You know that stuff, good cash. The stuff that doesn't make you feel bad about when you spend it. Like when you're spending money that's not in your overdraft.
I don't remember what that's like.
Neither do I. I'm just pretending. And what is technically a slum? Like, are we talking about like the shacks attached to the side of railways in India, or rundown bits of like a council estate, or like a whole block of flats? What is my territory?
A slum is a squalid and overcrowded urban street or district inhabited by very poor people. Seeing as last week it was decided, even though they were very clearly talking about John with his Googling, it came out that it was me that we were referencing. I decided to Google it.
I was insinuating it was John. And
yeah,
it got out of hand. It got away from me. I do apologise.
The way I knew it, you were talking about me, is you said that
puns.
You said puns, but you also said sometimes he goes quiet.
And I never go quiet.
No disrespect to our host.
But you'll never go quiet.
My partner didn't get the hint and decided it was 100% me, and John and your wife just went with it, didn't correct, and just left it. So yeah, well, that was the definition of a slum.
So uni accommodation isn't far off it.
Really?
I think that's the exact definition of uni accommodation, isn't it?
There we go. And no one looks down on people that own properties that university students live in, because they go, they're entrepreneurial type
students.
Students are rebellious against everything. Students want to put two fingers up to society and the man.
Let's break it down. Squalid and overcrowded. Yep. Urban street or district. Correct. Yeah. Inhabited by very poor people. Yeah. So apart from the very poor people, definitely.
But after you've got your grant, or after you've got your funding, 2 months
after we've spent our loans, so a week after loan day. Correct. I mean, I don't know how it's not that overcrowded really compared to like
a single person in every room. There are no spare rooms. And John, didn't you have to share a room at university?
No.
Well, you had to share a room with your lovely wife?
No, she had her own place.
Yeah, you never lived together at uni.
She came over quite a lot.
Okay. Well, you're a student and had a double bed. You lucky so-and-so.
In my first year, I had a single bed. That proved difficult. I never had a single bed again, because I did very well at university.
He got a first.
I definitely did not. Although anybody that's decided to stalk this podcast enough and look at me and find me on Facebook would go, yep, him getting a first is more believable than him doing well in the sexual arts.
I still don't believe it. Probably got a first.
Yeah. I didn't. My 2-2 is stood up proudly in my front room.
You got a Desmond.
So, I got a Desmond 2-2.
Desmond. That's what it's called in the trade.
It is.
And that was the only person on the podcast that has not got a university degree.
Or any other degree to that matter.
I've got a full stock of EASA Part 66 modules. It's equivalent to 2/3 of a degree.
Much more useful.
In my line of work, it's incredibly useful.
But anyway, back to the point in question. Final conversations for homeless or slumlord?
Apart from being a bit morally grey, there are no downsides to being a slumlord. If you can deal with it, if you can sleep easy at night knowing that you provided somewhere warm and safe for someone else to sleep as well, then I don't see any reason why slumlord can't win it.
Because slumlords provide good accommodation that's neither safe nor warm, but also...
It's not my fault you don't pay your heating bills. You're in charge of that.
I think that any person who can go from being homeless to being successful entrepreneur will win the hearts of many. Aspirational wise, it's up there with Zero to Hero. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'm just saying that if a homeless person becomes successful, everybody looks up to them and goes, wow, that's great. If a slumlord becomes successful, everyone goes, well, you just kind of ripped off other people.
Well, they did become successful. They probably started out with nothing.
Nah, they
didn't. To where they were.
They started out with inherited money.
Yeah, they're normally drug dealers or bent or... I
Gotta get that money.
I am going to rule in favour of Slumlord.
Gotta get that money.
Purely because the people that live in the slums probably wouldn't have anywhere else to live if it wasn't for the slums. And then they would be homeless themselves. And judging just by purely me, and also the same as you two, like, if I'd burnt all the bridges that I had to the point that I'd become homeless, it would mean that I didn't really have much left to depressing, but I wouldn't really have much reason left to be here. So I wouldn't really want to be homeless. I love the homeless. I don't think we do enough for them in this country, and there's plenty of people that are in that situation, which is very sad. And I had a very close friend who was homeless in university who unfortunately committed suicide, which wasn't nice. Found out about that a few years after. But I'd hate to get to that point. I'd much rather be a slumlord and be alive. And if I was a slumlord, that means I'd got to that point to get us back on track with the funny jokes that we make, as I've just been depressing and I didn't mean to be. But if I was a slumlord, probably wouldn't care about anyone else because I'd have probably done some minor misdemeanors on the way up that ladder. You don't just become a slumlord. So, yeah, slumlord, because they might be doing it badly, but they're still doing more than people who aren't a slumlord. Slumlords do more for the homeless than what you're doing, John. So unless you can quickly persuade me otherwise, slumlord wins.
Yay! You don't start a sentence with if you're trying to be persuasive.
That's fine.
Slumlord wins. I think that's about long enough for this week. So this has been Wood John Rather, and anything left to say?
I've been John, and I'm gonna go get drunk and shout obscenities at random walkers by.
I've been John, and I'm going to drink wine in my castle built on the tears of the homeless.
And I'm not John, and apparently if we're all getting drunk, I'm going to go and open a bottle of wine and eat some pregnant animals. This has been Wood John Rather, and next week it will be us again. Don't worry, we're not letting those women in again that insult all of your towns.
Wait, this is coming from the man who was completely behind someone enslaving all of Grimsby.
Yeah, but that's Grimsby.
Can't wait to enslave Grimsby.
Nothing means something. Somebody do it when everybody does